So welcome everybody. Welcome to this panel discussion. I'm Gary King of Think Smart Marketing and Tendo fame, and I'm delighted to have Ryan Mulhern of First Frame Productions, Andy Firth of Ascensor, and Mike Roberts of PMG Print. Good morning, gents, or good afternoon.
Afternoon.
And we're here to talk about why the face of marketing has changed forever. Look, it's been a tough, let's get straight into it. It's been a tough 12, 13 months for all the reasons that we know about. Going back 13 months ago, when a lot of businesses had to cease trading for lockdown reasons, and many were struggling because of that, there was many people saying that we really shouldn't be marketing. It's insincere. It's just not good practice to be marketing in a time when so many businesses are really struggling to make ends meet. It's inappropriate to be marketing. I'd welcome your thoughts on it, guys. Should we have continued marketing, or should we have pared back because it was inappropriate? What do we think?
You should always be marketing, always. I mean, I think there was a bit of shell shock around, wasn't there, when for all businesses, whether you've done well or you've done not so well during the pandemic, because there's definitely been winners and losers. There was that sort of period of time, sort of 3 or 4 weeks, where there was just like everyone just sort of battened down the hatches for anybody that I knew, and then you sort of realise that you're actually going to be okay, or you can't continue to market because you're not open. So there's sort of a period of time where it sort of defined that, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think I found it quite interesting across different sectors, because obviously hospitality clients went into free fall, so I could understand that. But then a great many other clients were actually pushing back on wanting to market. They were going into a survival mode and just felt they didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And I just wanted them to explore the possibilities of what they could do. So that was an interesting one.
I think obviously you're going about marketing. I think the big thing was kind of not being salesy to people at that time as well, but being more visible than ever. It's like, marketing is about being visible and being out there, but being visible, doing more social interaction and, getting to create more relationships was a thing that I think was the most important thing to be doing at that time. And, even just seeing how people are, you are being out there and things like that, and, getting your name out there and, people by people. So I think it's become more about the person rather than the business. So that's been quite a nice thing to do. And lots of communities have been kind of, formed through that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the changes for me, guys, is that, Andy, you hit the nail on the head, always be marketing. But I think, probably up to that point, 12, 13 months ago, a lot of marketing was about, buy my product, buy my service. And it was probably inappropriate to be having that salesy element of marketing at that point. So what I saw a lot of is, let me just change tact a little bit and add more value to my audience rather than being too salesy. Would you agree that marketing at that point became more about adding value and raising awareness than it was about being salesy?
100%. Yeah, definitely. It's just all about, giving. Can you advise people? There's a lot of kind of, obviously with as we're on about selling before, obviously a lot of people weren't selling, but there was a lot of kind of free webinars and, things like that going on as well. So people were kind of happy to share their tips and things like that. Like you say, adding value and also, educating people, but also entertaining people as well, being a little bit silly, but showing people into their life as well. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the message for us was very much about just genuinely caring and asking, are you guys okay? Can we help you in any way? What sort of support might you need? And I sort of drilled that into some of my team. Let's not be salesy here. Let's talk to these people as a person, because we're all in this together.
Yeah, I mean, it's the human element, isn't it? And I mean, I know when we put anything out as a business, if it includes people and is personal, it gets engagement. Anything related to product or a service or anything like that, it just doesn't fly in anywhere near the same way. And I think that's probably always been the case, but certainly more so now. I think if you are going to be marketing and sales element to it, it should be no more than 20% of the stuff that you put out there. It doesn't carry a brand anywhere near the same way as the human aspect does.
Yeah,
I think right. As Sarah's put it, I think being authentic as well. And I think the people that have are being salesy these days and not kind of really thinking about their social media strategy and going straight for the kill. They're being found out more than ever now as well. So again, being authentic is the kind of key there.
Yeah. I had a client that is a training provider. They're a kind of levy-funded training provider, and one of their sectors is care homes. And obviously, they had all the difficulties that we know about, so they completely cancelled any training. And what they were doing every week is just ringing up, "Are you okay? Is everything fine? You know, what issues and challenges do you have?" And they spoke to a number of care homes, and they said, "Look, our biggest issue at the moment is we can't get hold of, you know, the basics in terms of kind of bread and milk and water and such like." And he said, "Well, look, I've got a contact that can help you with that." Made a couple of phone calls. All of a sudden, he's arranged deliveries of those essentials into those care homes. Now, it wasn't generating any revenue, but from a marketing point of view, it was keeping him front of mind, and it was adding value that put him one step ahead of the competition. And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Market in a different way.
Yeah, it is absolutely that. Just seeing where you can help those people that have supported you, shall we say, financially or commercially for so long. It was a time to sort of give back in many ways. And we did see pockets of that in some of our clients as well.
Yeah, fab. Just in terms of, you know, in any recession for the last 100, 200 years, there's always been winners and losers. Obviously, we know that anybody that's delivering face-to-face consultancy or training, hospitality have been the losers this year. But, you know, if you're producing signage, if you're producing hand sanitizer, if you're an online e-commerce business, as Andy, one of your businesses, they're the winners. So, you know, what should businesses have been doing when their business was suffering to try and identify other and new opportunities for generating revenue?
Well, I think it was different for different sectors, wasn't it? And certainly some of the manufacturing sectors in our industry, you know, they did pivot, and there've been some fantastic successes that have seen them through. Now, whether that's a short-term thing or a medium-term achievement, I think the key is that they did it and they've been successful. But it's not been appropriate for everybody to do that.
I think embracing technology as well, you know, video technology, like, you know, Zoom, I mean, unbelievable. But what can companies do over Zoom that they could have done in person? You know, for me, it was like training people how to use smartphones to make videos. But one of our clients was they're basically a mixology company. All their business is events, and obviously all their revenue went down overnight. So they created this kind of thing, cocktail masterclass in a box. And then they started marketing it to people, then to businesses. Now, I think in December, they did over 100 grand in 3 weeks. And now that is bigger than any of their business, which is just unreal. So, you know, things like that. And, you know, it's even, I've heard of a cookie company in Leeds that did 12 grand of sales on Sunday. You know, it's just cookies, but it's like doing something different and embracing social media and kind of like video technology. It's interesting.
It's about finding reach, isn't it? How, you know, where if your audience is limited based on whatever's going on, where can you create a new audience or create a new product?
Yeah,
mix to suit.
And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Is you know, whether your customers' buying habits have changed as a result of financial issues or business restraints, whether you need to open up new customers with new products and services. It's about finding where that reach can get you. And as Ryan says, a great example, you know, mixology in a box and generating revenue that was probably far beyond and maybe even more profitable than anything they've done previously. Andy, this is one specifically for you. You know, online searches, because people are at home, they can't go, you know, shopping in lockdown. You know, online searches, I think, doubled in the early part of lockdown, didn't they? And, you know, people using e-commerce when, you know, maybe there were a coffee shop that couldn't do face-to-face, so they're going online to supply coffees and such like. But what that's done is it's created an increase in cyber crime, hasn't it? More people are online, more people probably not paying attention, so the cyber criminals come out to play. What considerations should business owners be making to their web and digital marketing if they haven't already done it?
Yeah, I mean, well, searches double, but they've continued at that same rate. I mean, people have bought online now for the first time ever, or they've bought a particular product that they've never bought online before. Are they going to go back? And as you say, we've got so much more digital activity, and criminals have been getting more and more sophisticated anyway. And you know, it's easy, isn't it? Because you're the hidden sort of enemy. I think, you know, GDPR is a big thing as well, and you know, making sure that you're protecting data is key. So if you do have a vulnerability, making, you know, there's a good chance you're going to have some sort of data loss. So I definitely encourage any business to make sure they're hosting their websites in the UK for starters. Other than that, you know, making sure the software is kept up to date. I was speaking to a new prospect yesterday who was really proud of the fact that their website was 10 years old and it hadn't changed in 10 years, and it was still doing great things for them. And when we get to build a new website for them, it needs to last another 10 years without changes. It's like, well, are you still running Windows 98 on your PC? You know, it's software, and you know, software has to be maintained, because if not, vulnerabilities will be exposed. You know, there's more than 50% of websites, content managed websites in the UK are built on WordPress. You know, every single month WordPress releases patches to protect it from vulnerabilities that have been exposed since the last patch. And maintaining that software is absolutely critical for businesses, because at some point you're going to have you're going to be exposed, and at some point you're going to have some issues with data. Just one final point on that, you know, the easiest way for criminals to get into somebody's website is via the local access. So don't be clicking on links that come in emails. Don't be, you know, you make sure you're protecting your own PC as a website owner, because if you've got access into your bank, etc., but also content management systems, you can be exposed that way too.
Andy, is there a risk? Because I hear this with the clients that I chat to all the time. You know, why should I pay that level of hosting fee and that maintenance fee when Bob round the corner, working out of his bedroom, can do it for a third of the price?
You get what you pay for. You know, I mean, you know, with our hosting, for instance, we have a 24/7 managed service. If you ever have a problem with a website, it doesn't happen at, you know, 11 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. It happens on a Sunday afternoon or midnight on a Friday or something like that. You know, it's really, really important to you know, we want to be working with the clients that appreciate and, you know, and are concerned about their own business security, because, you know, if you get a data breach, it could put you out of business with the fines. And you know, for me, you know, I mean, we're an ISO 27001 provider. I think it's we're accredited to the highest level of information security standards, and, you know, for us, you know, our clients wouldn't accept anything less, and that's the type of business we want to be working with.
And I think that's a great phrase. You get what you pay for in anything in this world, don't you? And it's, you know, it's been a really tough one over the last few months for people just to maybe change provider or stop spending on something because of the challenges that we know about. But that creates a vulnerability and a risk, doesn't it? There's a great question here from Mike Hall. Hi, Mike. There's a lot of noise out there. You know, everybody's online, loads of noise. What do the panel think that clients need to be doing differently to help retain their current clients and stand out from the crowd when trying to attract new ones? Great question, Mike. So what should they be doing differently to attract new clients and hang on to the ones they've got?
I think you made a good point before, Gary, about, you know, just checking in with your client as well. You know, the care homes, things like that. So checking in with your clients is a great thing to do. Keep in contact. You know, can you educate your clients on something else they could be doing, how they could be doing things better? You know, not necessarily selling them something else, but actually just generally helping them, you know, running a sessions for them. In terms of standing out, well, you know, it's getting harder than ever to stand out, but it's, I suppose, looking at social media and trying to think of something that isn't there. You know, a lot of people are, I mean, if you look at like LinkedIn, for example, people look at LinkedIn, it's meant to be it used to be a kind of a serious platform. Now people are, you know, running around kind of half naked, wearing wigs, maybe me being one of them, and just doing anything really to get people back to your profile. And, you know, if your profile is good, obviously it's kind of doing that. So it's kind of standing out. But it's also, I had an interesting chat to someone this morning, and they mentioned something called the Sea of Sameness. And it's like a lot of people look at their competitors and copy them. And it's how about looking at your competitors and doing something totally different that they're not doing, and just totally standing out, taking a bit of a risk as well. You know what I mean? It's like, I think a lot of times we get inquiries and it's like, we want this certain video, this the Dollar Shave Club video. If I had £1 for every time someone came to me for that. And then when we present some concepts and ideas, when it gets down to it, most of the time they get a little bit scared and they're like, you know what, we just want that. normal video or that set of videos. But if they're a bit ballsy and did take the risk, I mean, look at Brewdog for a great example.
But isn't it what appeals to your audience, Ryan? You know, being in that sea of sameness is great if that's what your audience want. But if you want to attract the cream of the clients, you need to do something different, right?
Definitely, yeah, 100%, exactly.
Yeah, but you've got to love them at the base level. You've got to love them and just communicate with them, and then develop some strategy that is going to elevate you. Now, whether that is online or whether that's offline through print, just do something different, but make sure you're communicating with them.
It's classic customer services, isn't it?
Yep.
You know,
nothing's changed really. It's go back to those basics.
Yeah.
And follow those steps and do something that is going to mean something.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm here representing the print industry, and the value of print has absolutely shot through the roof in terms of trustworthy and reputation. So that's something very different for a lot of companies to consider.
Yeah. And Mike Hall, who raised a question, he runs a program called Touch Points, and that's all about, as you guys have all articulated, make sure at every single opportunity you are getting in front of your client, you're adding value. There's a little touch point there, whether it's a thank you card or an email or a piece of direct mail or whatever it might be. Make sure you're adding value and asking a question and standing out from the crowd at every opportunity. And then when they're ready to buy, they will do, won't they?
They'll remember you for helping, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. A question here from Azim Khan. Hi, Azim. Like Mike, what advice can you give to help attract new clients and keep existing clients? Just anybody.
Well, again, it's doing what you feel is going to attract them in the best way. But again, it's making that message compelling. And again, going back to the point we just covered, standing out to make you attractive to your competition.
Talking to
in place first, though.
Yeah, talking to the those prospective clients as well, and actually, thinking about the questions that they might ask as well, Azim. Like frequently asked questions. If you have a list of them, and you can answer them in whatever medium it is. Yeah. It's a good way of doing it. It's showing you're authentic, kind of an influence in your space as well. And like the guys have said, you're gonna stand out. And when people are in the market for what they need, you'll be kind of front of mind.
Yeah, it's about being visible and then being consistent with that visibility across whatever marketing channels are right for you, and that communicates trust, authenticity, as Ryan said. And then when they are ready, you're potentially going to be one of those businesses to get in touch with.
Yeah,
consistency, 100%. Yeah.
So, Azim, I've got that next question. I'll pick that up when I chat to Mike in a moment, if I may. Ryan, here's one for you specifically. Because we've not been able to do face-to-face networking, there's a lot of people on furlough. There's a lot of people now back online where they'd traditionally be face-to-face. So that's created this kind of sea of sameness that you said. A lot more people using social media. Maybe LinkedIn profiles become a little less professional and a little bit more social. Goodness. So there's more opportunities to engage with your audience, but there is more noise as well, isn't there? So what considerations should business owners be making to help them stand out from the crowd?
I suppose as businesses, it's getting their employees to kind of use social media and people to get to know them. Again, I think as mentioned before, people by people. So it's having those conversations, adding value, kind of trying to get to know your audience and doing things like that. Telling stories, giving out tips and tricks as well. Being there for the audience and things like that. And just like I say, get to know. If there's one thing I've noticed on social media, it is people just being there, and it's become more of a community than ever, really. So I think as long as as Andy said, they can be consistent with that kind of message and then implement that kind of plan as well, and all be kind of singing off the same hymn sheet. I think that's really important. But definitely, educating and entertaining is good thing. Yeah.
Just picking up on a word that Mike, I think you used a couple of minutes ago, and Ryan used there, traditionally, and it's the plan word, traditionally, a lots of small businesses just undertake tactical marketing. My mate says they're getting great success on Instagram, so I'm going to set up an Instagram account. I've seen a great corporate video that I love, so I'm going to produce my own corporate video. What what's the kind of benefits and I guess not of having a marketing plan that gives you a kind of coordinated view of what you should be doing?
I mean, the obvious one for me is you're going to understand your audience a lot better if you put some thought and some planning into it. Being part of the herd mentality of, oh, let's jump on Insta because my mate's done it and done it really well. Is that appropriate for your audience? You know, sometimes you see that with digital. People jump on digital because they see that immediately as the answer. But actually, is it the right channel and is it going to give you the right outcome? So that's why you've got a plan.
Where is your audience? That's the first
Exactly.
question.
Yeah.
So who is your audience and where are they?
Yeah.
So just picking up on a couple of these questions in the thread. So Azim's asking, do you think leaflet drops will be looked at differently now rather than going into junk? Sarah said, how can we embrace print and direct mail when people aren't working in offices? And John Burgess has raised a great point here that Andy just picked up on there about where are your audience. John considers flyers to be junk and he throws them in the bin, but his mum reads every single one of them. So it's about understanding who your audience is and how they're going to engage. So Mike, what, in an environment where people are used to loads of emails and their inboxes are full and maybe spam filters are at the highest possible, is now the time that people should be considering direct mail, and how can they go about something that's traditionally been considered expensive?
Yeah, I mean, I think without shadow of a doubt, the one thing that's come through COVID in terms of direct mail marketing is it is penetrating, it's cutting through. People are becoming tired with screen time. We're getting all a bit frazzled. Messages are getting blurred.
Yeah.
You've got B2C, you've got a captive audience at home. Okay, so the doormat has been the warmest place for people to receive things. As asked in the question there, they are probably the lowest cost option to communicate in that method and have been very, very, very effective through COVID. Whether perceptions will change in time, I don't know. But I think what's probably more key is you've got to know, again, it's going back to what we said, you've got to know who you're talking to, because not every medium is going to work for every channel is going to work. But print really has become a lot stronger as we know it's good. And it's trusted more by even millennials that don't normally get the mail anymore.
I think that's a great point, Mike, as well. But I also think as well with print, you can get a lot of kind of the same leaflets through the door. But if you have something that stands out with print, like if an amazing brochure, really nicely presented, nice finish, nice GSM comes through the door that's very different to something else, that really stands out to me. And you might actually go, oh, let's have a look at this. Oh, wow, it's this. I mean, my fiance brought back this stuff about, the nice slats that go up the wall, how to kind of decorate a studio or a lounge. And it's like, it's really well presented. So I did take time out to actually read it, whether if it was a little flimsy leaflet that, cost 5p to produce or whatever, I might not take that time. So again, with any kind of medium, it is, standing out. And I suppose that's,
But a well-targeted direct mail piece, which is one step up from the door drop, it lasts longer around the home, so it dwells there. People are going to revisit it. I mean, JIC Mail, who are the industry body that review what's going on in the mailing world, the stats speak for themselves. That they can be referred to, they can be passed around the house, they don't go away. And depending on your brand or depending on your product, if it's an emotional purchase, print is valued even more because it's that emotional piece. It's tactile. And it's something real.
And it can completely complement digital, can't it? You can pass that
100%, Andy.
Discount codes, QR codes, whatever. That's why there's still loads and loads of advertising on the tube and billboard advertising, because it's all part of the mix, isn't it? And you can get to people.
You can drive sales online by using direct mail, and then the action, the purchase, the whatever is online. And that's again about having that joint up approach. One channel does not, fit all.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's about having that plan, isn't it? And being consistent with your full marketing plan, really.
Yeah, we sent some foil wrapped chocolate love hearts out a couple of days after Valentine's Day. And we very targeted 25 people that had engaged with us previously. They were the right avatar. We got the home address and we sent a box of chocolates with a cheesy Valentine's style poem in there. And it maybe cost 300 quid in total to execute. But I got 3 clients ring up and said, I know we've been chatting on and off about working together for a while. 2 of them said, we will work together, just give us a few weeks. One guy said, can you get in to see me for a coffee next week? Bang, ROI straight away. But I had a nice little printed card in it with a nice little printed box with some foil love hearts. So 300 quid, but I got an ROI literally within the week.
It's standing out, isn't it? Did you get a discount because it was after Valentine's Day?
No, there were actually chocolates left over from a Christmas campaign that I'd ordered too many, if I'm honest. But I had to use what I had around me. John here's saying, picking up on Ryan's point. Oh, he's just gone off screen. So things like Christmas tea bags. Phil here's talking about. There's a lot of execution. What's the new stuff that we're seeing in terms of kind of print or direct mail that's different from some of your traditional stuff? Have you got a couple of examples for us?
The thing I love, and we're talking to a number of our clients, it's linking video and print together. It's whether it's the augmented reality or it's repurposing of video and things like that. Just giving people the ability to visit showrooms, but using direct mail as the channel to communicate that, then taking them online, and particularly in the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom sector, that is a big thing. That's a big win. So that's quirky. As
Phil's put as well, the video business card, they are pretty cool. They can be pricey, but if you know who your audience are, we had an inquiry and it was for a company. They wanted 50, but they were sending them out to billionaire commercial estate agents. And they just wanted them to land on a desk. It was only a 30-second video, and it just wanted to be punchy, in your face, and they were kind of sold on that. So it is interesting, and the AR thing is brilliant as well, and that can again go through all kind of types of digital, web as well. So print, web, and video combined. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the one key thing for me here, Gary, if you just say is don't get dragged into some of these shiny things as being fit for everybody. Again, you've got to be very, very selective about what you're doing.
And I think what's key here, what's come out over the last half an hour or so is you've got to understand your audience, right? And I mean to the nth degree, because if you understand who your audience is, pick the phone up and say, would this thing be of interest to you? Maybe it's a client who is your perfect avatar. Ring them up and say, if I was going to send you a box of chocolates with a cheesy love heart in, is that something that would hit the sweet spot, or would you think it's just a bit naff? And they'll give you feedback to tell you whether your prospective campaign would deliver.
You're right. Who would have thought it, picking up the phone and talking to somebody? And that is so powerful now. It really is. And that's come through from this period we've gone
Another
through.
touch point, right? Pick the phone up. Are you okay? Who can I introduce you to? Where are you struggling? And they will give you some candid feedback about how you can add value.
Yeah.
That's right.
Another question here from John Burgess. So with the huge surge in e-commerce, how can you compete in what could be considered a very price-driven market? So with things like SEO and such like, is it price-driven? How do you compete?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, it's more competitive than ever, but there are, in any sector, there are businesses that I think let themselves down. And I think if you provide, communicate trust, you provide great engagement with a website. The website is easy to navigate. It's fast loading. You can use it across any of the platforms. There's things that you can do from a technical perspective to make life easy for the customer. Developing a website that is the strangest website you've ever seen, which some requests we get, it just doesn't work. We're all conditioned to use websites in certain ways, particularly e-commerce websites. So don't make it too quirky. Make the information that the person needs to access to make a purchase, or any additional information such as technical specs or size guides or anything like that. Make it so that it's easy to be found, but doesn't get in the way of that quick purchase. It's about user experience, because you're right. There is a lot of competition, but if somebody's getting the right experience from you, if you can get them there, why would they go somewhere else? It might be a little bit different if you're selling a pure commoditized product, but I think generally speaking, understand. It's all the stuff we talked about. Understand the audience, driving the right traffic by using the right channels, engaging people when you get there, give them a strong enough call to action and make it easy for them to follow that, and then great customer services, build loyalty, get them coming back for more and more and more. It's just classic shop retailing. We're just doing it online, and a lot of businesses miss the basics and right.
And guys, let's just imagine we've got this master marketing plan that now reflects all the different challenges that we have from 13 months ago. We're crystal clear on who our customer is. We're crystal clear on where they hang out and what appeals to them, whether it's online, offline, and we're getting in front of them. How important, or is it more important now than ever before, that we've got some clear metrics of how we track the success of our marketing to know what is and what isn't working and where we should and shouldn't be spending time, money and effort?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, we all know the rules of the engagement has changed. Budgets are going to be, scrutinized beyond belief. So this is now the time that you've got to have those things in place so you can measure things. And without that, you're just blowing in the wind, and you can't do that.
Andy, what do you see from a web and digital point of view? How many clients have you got that have got access to Google Analytics but don't actually look at it on a regular basis?
90% of them probably, but that's where we come in. We provide, we can distill the complexities of that down, but tracking is the most important thing, because if you don't know whether something's working, or more importantly, if it's not working, how can you make future decisions? The setting analytics up properly is absolutely vital. What is a conversion? How do you know what your return on investment is going to be if you don't know what a conversion looks like? And all of that is possible, but it does need to be set up properly. And I think as budgets are scrutinized, it's very, very easy to make decisions around future marketing and whether the budget's working for you or not if you've got the tracking in place properly. We say that marketing investment is one of the first things to go when there's a crisis. Well, not if it's working, and you can see that if you've got the tracking in place.
Yeah,
I think the other thing connected to your planning is whether you're wanting a short-term hit or you're wanting a longevity of relationship and loyalty. So again, that's got to come into the mix.
Definitely, yeah. Different plans for both, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's, we talked about touch points earlier. What I see a lot of in my space is a lot of small businesses will spend a load of time, effort and money on marketing and prospecting and sales to win a new client. And then they think they've got that client in the bag, and then they move on to win the next client and forget to look after the one they've got.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a waste of that time, money and effort for me. So just a couple of things that have come out of that last conversation. Budgets have, for all the reasons we know about, been under threat in the last 12 months. Businesses really, really struggling with revenue and profitability and even cash. So one of the first things to get canned is marketing. Is that, and I'd welcome the views from any of you, is that short-sighted or is it a necessary evil?
It's sector specific, isn't it? I mean, I think if you're running a hotel and the doors are locked, then you still want to maintain your presence by doing some light social work or something like that. But you're not going to be marketing a promotional offer for a weekend stay. I think it's just all within the context of the situation. But being visible, however you do it, is all of the businesses that have struggled over the last 9 months. As we come out of the crisis, how are they going to make up for lost time? And the only way they're going to do that is if they're sort of front of mind of their prospects and customers.
I think the key thing there is it's about your visibility and what visibility you've had over this period, irrespective of channel. So people just know that you're still there and you've communicated with them.
Yeah, it doesn't cost a lot just to remain active, on social media and things like that, just to show that there's someone still there in the business, And it's like Andy said, for those people that have closed their doors, when the pandemic hit, literally, and expect to come out and be busy, I think they might have a bit of a shock, to be honest. I think of, if I look at other video companies, just for example, they might have just gone, you know what, we've got no business. They're not in front of the camera or anything like that, trying to drive or doing anything on social. So it's, it will be tough for, that's a lot of different sectors have been like that as well. But I think the companies that have been out there, they're starting to, especially now, things are starting to happen. As businesses are starting to open up, and a lot of people I speak to have started to set. I mean, most people I speak to are really busy at the moment. Obviously, not hospitality yet, but yeah. So it's quite interesting, the people that put the effort in and stay consistent, that are going to kind of reap the benefits.
Yeah, because it's, as we said there, if you turn your marketing off for whatever reason, it is sector specific, but I think there's a lot of businesses out there expecting that when the doors open again in the next couple of months, that they're going to go back to the pre-COVID levels of business. Yeah. And the reality is that their customers have probably been attracted by other people that have been marketing, other people that have been standing out from the crowd. So whether it's direct mail and print, whether it's video, whether it's web and digital, I think it's been important to be consistent, whatever that consistency looks like. And that comes down to plan again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the two key words there, consistency and planning. And as we said earlier in this piece, I've tried to engage with a number of people that have actually pushed back, that don't want to plan for the future. And I'm thinking to myself, are they going to be around in their sector? Because they're just sticking the helmet on and going in the dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another question here from John. So thinking about existing customers and retention of customers, how important is the role of external marketing resource, or should the retention responsibility sit within the internal delivery team?
I mean, I think it comes down to competence and capacity. It's a bit of a fallacy, I think, sometimes to think, well, it's just social media, so I can just do it myself. When it doesn't, is it sort of results focused, conversion focused, or is it just broadcast and sort of how you're measuring it? And I think it depends what you want to get out of it and the skill level within the business. We try and empower our clients as much as possible. We'll develop a strategy, we'll set them off, and after a couple of months we'll educate them on what we've done and let them run with it. And I think that's the best way for us to empower customers, and then use the budget that they've got for us to continue to work on more and more technical services.
Yeah. One last question for me, and then obviously anybody watching, we've still got probably time for one or two more questions, but we've touched on this a lot in this kind of concept of user experience. The reality is, for all four of us and anybody watching, there's going to be many businesses out there doing exactly what we do. What's going to stand us out from our competition and retain businesses? User experience. Do you think a lot of businesses don't understand the benefits of user experience, or they don't get feedback from the customers how difficult it is to buy from them? What's the opportunity from a UX perspective?
Well, again, for me, it comes back to your own values of your own business. And I think there are too many businesses out there that are just chasing the pound, and they're not loving, and they're not communicating with the clients. And I think COVID's going to wash people out like that. So my belief anyway is first base is make sure we're communicating, make sure we've been loving, we've shown interest, try and get our other clients to think in the same vein, because I think that will be unique among some of their peers.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses can be, see things from their side and not think of their customer. So, putting themselves in the customer's shoes, and like Mike was saying, asking your customers, it's amazing what you can learn from a client, just having a chat to them, not selling them more products, but just just doing it. I did something called the Ask Framework last week with the current client. It was more to get some feedback from them, and it's amazing. We might have done extra for them that you didn't know, but even when you get a case study of someone as well, but it is definitely speaking to your clients more, and just and I think just by doing that, you're always going to grow the relationship more as well, and retain that client, because they know you and trust you more and more. And you might get, I know you don't want to always become best friends, but you get as close to that as, without kind of going over that, crossing that line, so to speak.
I think you've got to, show that you genuinely care and sort of be authentic. I think it's difficult for some close to the business. they just think, oh, it's just how to do this on my website. Well, it really isn't, and it's because you're on there so much that it's obvious to you. So I think there's it's important as any business owner to sort of take a step back and just conduct some customer research, market research.
Yeah, we don't often put ourselves in the shoes of our clients, do we? And I'm sure, everybody watching, us four here, we've all probably had really bad experiences over the last 12 or 13 months where, whether it be a retail outlet or an online experience where they've been down on staff members, it's taken forever to get through, you've had a poor service, and I think it's almost become used as an excuse to deliver poor service now. Those experiences are going to be remembered for a long, long time, aren't they?
For sure. Always have been and always will be, won't they?
Yeah. John's just asking a question here. A good time to get the panel's thoughts on Net Promoter Score? Good indicator?
Very. I mean, I think we use some software called Office Vibe, which scores that. So we have questionnaires go out to the team every week, and we monitor it. It's a great barometer, I think, of how everybody within the organisation feels about the organisation and whether they'd be an advocate of it out there in the wider world. So definitely.
So it's good for your team and it's good for your customers. Would you recommend us on a score of 1 to 10?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's minus 10, isn't it? Minus 10 to plus 10.
Yeah. So that's listening to customers and having some humility to accept the fact that maybe everything isn't brilliant, and those golden nuggets are where we can really ramp our marketing up to the next level, aren't they?
Yep.
Okay. So look, guys, I think, just to wrap up, why the face of marketing has changed forever. Our customers' buying habits have changed forever. Who our target customer is, existing and new, has changed forever. And the importance of increasing your touch points and using different marketing medium and being more authentic in order to attract and retain your clients has changed forever. So have a plan. Make sure you've got regular touch points in that plan. Make sure you're reviewing it. Make sure you're listening to your client. Make sure you've got key measures to track the success. Would that be a good summary of why the face of marketing has changed forever as a result of the last 12 months?
I think everything you covered there sums it up really, really well. Without a plan, you're going to fail at the end of the day. And it's ever so more important now to have those plans in place and then measure everything that you're doing in terms of your activity, whether it's marketing or anywhere else in your business.
I think for us with digital, it's just the evolution has accelerated rather than it's changed. It's just sped up, and we can almost see the future. I think from a digital perspective, and businesses that aren't embracing digital now, we never know what's going to happen in the future with what's happened. So think on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, gents. That's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a cracking session. It really has, guys. I mean, I made a few notes while you've been talking. One thing that stands out to me is at the beginning of this session, don't do everything with your hand. Those people who, when the pandemic kicked off, those people who were giving advice and information free of charge have really reaped the rewards. Funnily enough, before this session, I was in the networking. I was talking to Anthony Eckersley. And he was, I said to him, you've done some fantastic bulletins on health and safety that have been really useful for everybody. And he said, the response we've had for those and the clients we've pulled in from doing those totally free of charge as a service to anybody who needed them has been incredible. And it just shows. The other thing is the old adage, why have a dog and bark yourself? People who, even if you've got a marketing team, sometimes you need that outside expertise, whether it's print, whether it's digital photography or video. Talk to the people that know. And if you have struggling with a marketing plan or the direction the business is going in, people like Gary King and others are just priceless, and never be frightened to ask for help. And one last thing I've got to do happy birthday to John Burgess is on here. I don't know whether it's a great way to spend your birthday, John, but the questions you've been asking have been brilliant.
Happy birthday, Josh Burgess.
Happy birthday,
Thanks,
John.
guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And judging by the comments and everything, everybody's got a lot out of this. If any of you want to get in touch with either Mike, Gary, Andy, or Ryan, all their contact details are on our website, but also they're all available on LinkedIn and other sources. And go for it. And we've now got a break for about half an hour before Scott Palmer's session. So jump in the networking, have a look on the in the exhibition hall. Have to say, Andy Firth, marketing. The soundtrack to your video is very interesting.
We've got permission for that as well. We wrote, and yeah, marching on together.
Will it put off anyone who doesn't support Leeds United as a client?
Not bothered. There's enough.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic, guys. Speak to you later.